Okay, so yesterday's heading was factorizing. Today we are doing a new heading. We're going to write down the quadratic formula. So we can write that so long. But the screen will be on just now. Okay, guys, the quadratic formula. So I think I did mention to you yesterday that you are not going to have to factorize a trinomial again, right? In order to solve for x in a trinomial equation, the quadratic formula can be used to solve any quadratic equation. Okay, so first I want you to write this down. We say that the standard form of a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. That is the standard form. So if, for example, we have, let's look at one that we looked at yesterday, 9x squared plus 3x is equal to 0. Right, that's the first quadratic equation that we solved yesterday. Now, if I look at the three terms in the standard form, we see that there's one term with an x squared, right? The first term has an x squared as its variable, and the number then in front of x squared, the coefficient of x squared, is what we call the a value. So in this equation, what number do I have in front of x squared? 9. So in this equation, a is 9. And that is always the case, all right? Because in this quadratic formula, I'm going to use a, b, and c, and you need to know where to find those values. Okay, so a is always the number in front of x squared, the coefficient of x squared. Okay, just like we wrote it here. A comes before x squared, or is attached to the x squared. Then we have an x term, bx. The b value is always the number in front of x, the coefficient of x. Now, what number is the coefficient of x in this equation? 3. So in this equation, our b value is 3. C, do we notice that in the standard form, C does not have an x attached to it? What do we call that kind of term, that type of term that has no variable attached to it? I know something that sounds similar, but it's not exactly. It was just a number with no x. Yeah? The constant term. All right? The constant term. C is a constant term. C is just going to be a number with no x attached to it. All right, do we have a constant term in this equation? Is there a number or is there a term here that has no x? Okay, 9x squared plus 3x. Is there another term there with no x? No, but what does that mean, guys? C is then equal to 0. If there is no constant term, then the constant term is actually 0. Okay, so you need to be able to look at a quadratic equation, identify the a, b, and c values. A is always the coefficient of x squared. that is for a coefficient of x squared. That will never change, guys. All right. A is always going to be the coefficient of x squared. B is the coefficient of x. Right? And C is then the constant term. I'll just put in brackets there, no x. Right? See, the constant term is the one that has no x. Otherwise, they can give you these terms in a different order. Okay, so they can maybe put the constant term first, and then the x squared, and then the x. It still stays like this. A is the one that goes with x squared, B is the one with x, and C is the constant. Doesn't matter what order they're in. Okay. Let's quickly look at the second example that we did yesterday. It was x squared minus 4 equals 0. That was the second equation that we solved yesterday. We look at this first term. Do we notice that it's an x squared term? What is the number in front of x squared? 1. Remember, if there's no number written, then there is actually 1. So the a value is 1. The coefficient of x squared is 1. Is there an x term? No. So what is my b value? What number is then in front of x if there's no x? 0. So if there is no x term, then the coefficient of the x term is actually 0. And then what is my constant term in this case? -4. Good. The negative has to go with the 4. All right. That sign must go with the number. So the constant term is -4. No. All right, so guys, will you be able to identify those 3 variables? All right, you just need to memorize this. A is x squared, B is x, and then C is a constant. Okay, now the quadratic formula, which we are going to use, I'll show you how we use it. So the quadratic formula is as follows, and you are going to have to memorize this, guys. This x is equal to, and it's going to look very complicated at first, but we're going to practice it a bunch of times, and then you should be fine. It's a fraction. Okay, so the top of the fraction is minus b, and then plus or minus, I'll explain now what that means. The square root, and then in the square root, we have b squared minus 4ac. Then you close your square root. You'll see when I do a square root, I usually do a little, almost like a little edge, just to show where it ends. And that is then over 2a. Just zoom in a bit so that's clearer. Oh, it's a bit blurry. Let's see if I got it. There we go. That's better. So just take a copying that down correctly. At the top of the fraction is negative b, and then it's a plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, and then at the bottom 2a. Now guys, do you see that we are working with a, b, and c in the formula, right? The b value, then identify b value. We put in that box. Right? You change whatever the sign was. It's not supposed to be negative. Then in the square root, you square it. Minus 4 times the a value times your b value. Then you divide that by 2 times your a value. That will give you the answer for x. But remember, I'm supposed to get 2 answers, right? For quadratic equation. Now, how do you do it? You get 2 answers. if we're using one formula? Yes. Yes, good. That's what the plus or minus is saying. It's actually two formulas in one. So you're going to type in all your values and you're going to put a plus there. That will give you one answer. Then you're going to just use the arrow button on the calculator. You're going to change this plus to a minus. That will give you your second answer. Okay, let's practice that, guys. Let's do examples. Yeah, the question is just saying solve for x the first one is x squared minus 8x minus 9 equals 0. Is this a quadratic or equation or formula? Sorry, is it a quadratic equation? Is there an x squared? Yes. Okay, it's a quadratic equation. So then we can use the quadratic formula. Let's quickly write down the three values on the side. Remember the a value is the number in front of x squared. Which number is in front of x squared here? 1. So a is 1. The b value is the number in front of x. So b is negative 8. So hey, remember we must put the minus with it, please. So b is negative 8. The constant term, the one that has no x, negative 9. So c is negative 9. Okay, I'm going to write this fraction a bit bigger now so you can see it more clearly. Because I want you to write the formula as many times as possible, because then it's going to stick. Okay, so we're going to write it every time we're using it. Minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, equals negative b. So negative, what is my b value? Negative 8. You see why I'm putting that in brackets? Because we actually have two negatives next to each other. Plus or minus the square root of b squared. The b value is still negative 8. So we're going to do negative 8 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 9. And that is then all over 2a. So 2 times 1. You actually get a mark for showing that you are substituting these values in. All right, so it's very important that every time when you are actually doing a question like this, every time you use the quadratic formula, you have to show your negative b, your b squared, your 4ac, and your 2a with the actual numbers. Okay, so please make a tick there next to it so that you remember that that would be worth a mark. Okay, now calculators out, please. Let's type this in all together so we see if we're getting to the same answer. Okay, if you don't have this exact calculator, but I just want us to type it in together. Okay, the best way to type this in, guys, is to use the fraction button. All right, so that button with the block over block, if you press that at the beginning. And now it's up to you, right? You might just want to type in 8. Because what is negative 8? Just positive 8. Okay, so you can just type in 8 if you want. Or if you don't want to take chances, you can just type in exactly what you have there. So you could do it like that. It's up to you. Okay, now for the one answer, we're going to do a plus. All right, there where we have plus minus, we're going to choose plus. Then we're going to open the square root. And now we're going to type in, now again here, negative 8 squared. You can type in 64 right from the start. Okay, because negative 8 times negative 8 is 64. Or you can type it in exactly as it's written there. Minus 4 times 1 times negative 9. Again, maybe you don't want to type in that times 1, that's fine. Then you're going to use your arrow button, guys. When you are done typing what must be inside the square root, you need to press the arrow button once to get out of the square root. But we want to now get to the bottom of the fraction, right? So we need to press that button again. Okay, so we're going to press it twice. And then 2 times 1. Maybe you just type in 2. That's fine. And it's 2 equals. X is equal to 9. That is one of our answers. So x is equal to 9. Don't clear what is in the calculator, please. Otherwise, you're going to have to retype that whole thing. Leave it like that. Please write the word or. Remember, yesterday when it got too off, you put an or between them. You have to do that. Okay, you actually lose a mark if the word or is not there. So now your calculator should look like this. For the second answer, remember, we must change this plus, where we have the plus minus in the formula. We must change that to a minus. So guys, just use the arrow button, okay? I'm not going to press arrow back, because then it has to go back through all of this. I'm actually going to press the forward arrow, because then it goes right to the beginning. Okay, to save you some time. So if I press the forward arrow, so it goes to the start of my fraction. Then I press the arrow, I move all the way to after the plus. Then I press delete, and then I just put in a minus. Okay, that's the quickest way of doing it. Then you press equal, and then you get your second answer, negative 1. Now, what you would have done in grade 10 before you knew this formula, if you would have looked at that, you would have said, okay, as a trinomial, I have to factorize bracket times bracket equals 0. Then you would have to do what we did yesterday, right? We would have to make the first bracket equal to 0, and then the second bracket, and then solve each of them. All right, but now, guys, you are allowed to use this formula for any quadratic equation. You will always get full marks if you just use this formula. All right, I know a lot of people don't like working with trinomials, especially, but even the other ones that we did yesterday, you can use this formula for any quadratic equation. All right, so let's write that at the top. And we use to solve any quadratic equation. The one catch, however, is that it has to be in standard form. And that's the only condition. You have to have an x squared, well, an x squared you have to have, then an x, maybe, or a constant. So, okay, you can't have brackets and all sorts of funny things. We'll do some examples that you can see. So it can be used to solve any quadratic equation in standard form. Okay. We'll do a second example so that I can show you what I mean by that. So it has to be in standard form. They've given you something like this one, x minus 3 squared minus 5 is equal to 0. Hopefully we can all see that that is not standard form. Right, standard form is an x squared, an x, and then a constant term. All right, it's okay if your x term is a 0, it's okay if your constant term is a 0. You do have to have an x squared. So we can see that in this case, It's not in standard form, right? Now, if you want to use the quadratic formula, you need to get it in standard form. So what do you guys think? How can we do that? Multiply it out, right? We all know how to do an x minus 3 squared. You can do x minus 3, x minus 3. That's what it means when you're squaring something, right? You are multiplying it by itself. Now, how do you multiply a binomial and another binomial? What's that abbreviation? FOIL. Okay, so we're going to do first times first. So x times x is x squared. We're doing FOIL, then you do the O, which is outwards. So x times negative 3, that's negative 3x. Do the inners, negative 3 times x, which is again negative 3x. And then last, negative 3 times negative 3. 9, good, plus 9. And then we had that minus 5 already. Okay, we can't forget about that minus 5. And that is equal to 0. Okay, we're getting there, right? It's closer to standard form now. We just have some like terms that we need to add together or subtract possibly. So x squared, is there another x squared term? No, it's the only one, right? So we have x squared. Okay, negative 3x minus 3x. That's negative 6x, right? And then we have positive 9 minus 5. 4. Plus 4. Okay, now please solve for x here on your own. All right, it is written in standard form now. I'm just going to write down the A, B, and C values with you, and then I want you to use the formula on your own. See if you get to the answer. What is my A value? What number is in front of x squared? 1, so A is 1. B is negative 6. It's very important that you remember that negative. Okay, B is negative 6. And C is 4. Positive 4 in this case. All right, can you do that on your own for me, please? Can we stand, please, guys, and break Mrs. Bender? No, I don't. Keep an eye out. Would you like to use some of mine just for the quiz? No, I have to go. Oh, lovely. Yeah, thank you. All right, guys. Do we have an answer? Answer is actually, hey, sorry, I actually got. Let me just read that. Oh, we're getting a funny answer, hey. That's fine. Right. The next one. Okay, so did we get? Show you my substitution, then I can move it across for the actual answers. So that is what I substituted in, right? Let's check there that all your numbers are correct. It's always running out of space, so I didn't really write the formula, but obviously it's fine if you did. Okay, so negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Then if you type the plus, and you've got 3 plus root 5, right? Did you see that? 3 plus the square root of 5. Usually they say it was round to 2 decimals. Okay, so when you are getting, I'll show you here, for example, for the next one. When you're getting this answer, this is the correct answer, but if they're telling you must round to 2 decimals, then you can't write this. Okay, so then on this calculator, you see that button that says S to D. That means standard, a third, sorry, to decimal. All right, a third is a square root or a cube root, any kind of root is a third. So this is in third form because there is a square root of 5 there. If we want it in decimal form, we need to press that button and it gives us that one. Okay, now we just need to round up to 2 decimals. So the third digit is a 3. So am I going to round the second one up or down? Down. Hey, I'm going to leave it as a 6. Okay, that is the second answer. 0.76. For the first one, it was 3 plus root 5. Right, like that. So if you press SD, you get 5.236. Now, because the third digit is now 6, we need to round the 3 up to 4. Right? So 5.34. Okay. Any questions at this point, guys? Okay. I'm going to give you some of these to do on your own now. In some of them, they are already in standard form, so you can just use the formula straight away. In others, you need to do some multiplying out, some moving of terms. But the important thing is you have to have your equation written in this form. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So even if you had an x squared and an x, and then there was a number on the other side, you have to move that number across. Okay, so that it's equal to 0. You can only use the quadratic formula if your equation is written in this form. Very important. Okay, so you might mess up when you're actually multiplying out, when you're moving stuff across, you might mess up in those steps. Okay, but then what happens is we see a mark in your actual formula. So if you got an incorrect A value, we make you lose a mark or however many for that, but then we mark with your mistake when you're actually using the quadratic formula. Okay. All right, I am going to give you, I'll just write on this piece of paper. Do you have your textbook now? Not everyone. Some of you. Okay, I'll put it on the board. You can just write down which questions you have to do so long. So it's exercise 3 on page 13. Sorry, I'm just looking through the questions. I wanted to. I'll just give you those. None of them have to do with fractions. We'll look at fractions tomorrow because you'll have to be able to do those. These are just ones where it's either already written in standard form, you can just use the formula straight away, or you have to multiply out some brackets and move some terms around. Okay, that's all we're doing for today. Okay, I'll just put, maybe I'll actually just write down the question and then you can take a picture of it. So 1. Okay, that's number 1. Okay, there you go, guys. Those are the questions that we need to do for tomorrow. You have 14 minutes still, so you can, if you don't get through all of them, you